Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 651 based on novel. So let's start. While Jidu and the others were using the secret spell to watch the battle, Wang Lin arrived at the Celestial Clan. In the northern continent, he looked at the slightly familiar land and felt emotional. Hundreds of years ago, I left this place and headed toward the ancient clan. Now I've returned. Wang Lin let out a sigh and his gaze swept the land. His divine sense spread out toward the 72 continents, and a moment later his divine sense covered the entire Celestial Clan's 72 continents. As his divine sense spread out, a smile gradually appeared on his face. With his previous cultivation level, he could not use this method to find his old friends. However, now, as the strongest person on the immortal astral continent, he could. Ju Yi and Qing Shuang's cultivation levels have risen. I wonder if they kept that pill or not. Wang Lin's divine sense swept by but didn't stop. Wang Lin's smile widened as if he had seen something. This is Sichu? He should be Master Hongshan. After reincarnation, he is still the same. Ju, are you? This child didn't walk down the path of cultivation. I don't know how many times she has reincarnated over these past hundreds of years. Wang Lin looked into the distance with a gentle gaze. 13. He was always excellent and now his cultivation is extraordinary. From the looks of it, he is already very fast. Big Head, the pitiful person from the cave world who used his ruthlessness to cover up his fragile heart. Here, he is still the same. This is Shengong Hu. He became the sect master of a sect. Wang Lin was a little shocked. Is she Red Butterfly? That mark can't be wrong. Qing Lin. He also chose not to cultivate and reincarnated several times like a mortal. Senior brother Qing Shui. Eh? Wang Lin's gaze became sharp and he carefully looked toward the west. He felt like that was where Qing Shui was, but the mark on his body was extremely faint. If not for the fact that Wang Lin's cultivation level was far higher than before, he would not have been able to detect it. If the mark on senior brother Qing Shui was completely gone, then even with my divine sense sweeping everyone, I wouldn't be able to find him. Fortunately, a trace of his mark still exists. Wang Lin murmured as his divine sense continued to search the 72 continents of the Celestial Clan. He had done the same thing in the ancient clan, but he had found no trace of any of his friends. In his heart, there was a shadow that made him feel very complicated. This shadow is a woman called Li Chienmai. Nothing. Wang Lin's divine sense swept across the 72 continents one by one. He had found almost everyone except for one, her. Still nothing. Wang Lin couldn't remember how many times he had searched. He searched again and again, but he could not find any trace of Li Chienmai. Just like when he had searched in the ancient clan, he couldn't find her. How could there be no trace? Wang Lin could not be calm, and his divine sense erupted. Not only did he cover the Celestial Clan, but with his current cultivation level, he covered the vast basin and the ancient clan as well. He searched again and again, his divine sense swept out again and again, but he found no trace of Li Chienmai. Wang Lin's face turned place. He could not find her. Could it be that during reincarnation there was an accident? Wang Lin felt a sting in his heart. He could not forget the woman called Li Chienmai, her face and soft eyes. She had come to the immortal astral continent for him. She had left her father and came to reincarnate here all alone, silently waiting for the man she'd love to find her and release her memory. Impossible. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out once more for a whole day. His divine sense had swept across almost every inch of the immortal astral continent, but in the end, he still found nothing. Wang Lin pressed against his chest and felt pain. He looked at the sky and suddenly laughed. However, this laughter was filled with anger at the heavens. You let me find Li Muwen's soul but made me lose Li Chienmai. Is this the so-called fate? Is this the heavens making a fool of me? I don't believe it. I'll still be able to find her. Wang Lin roared at this sky, and his roar echoed across the world. With teacher's help, the chance of an accident was very low. Since I can't find her, the most likely chance is that she recovered her memory earlier than senior brother Qing Shui and the mark disappeared. Wang Lin closed his eyes, and after analyzing the situation, he was almost certain of it. With his eyes closed, he could vaguely see a woman in white looking up at the sky with tears flowing down from her eyes. She had long remembered her previous life but was avoiding him. Or perhaps she didn't want to see Wang Lin. The sky gradually darkened as Wang Lin stood in the air and opened his eyes. His eyes revealed a trace of sadness and confusion. He silently pondered as he walked forward and disappeared into the darkness. Celestial Clan, Western Continent's Yundao continent. In the northern part of this continent, there was a sect. This sect was not large, it could only be considered a small sect in the Yundao continent. This morning, there were many disciples cultivating in the sect. In the secret chamber in the back mountain of the sect sat a middle-aged man. This man was filled with determination and a sense of coldness. He was dressed in black and his eyes were closed as he cultivated. Ripples were spreading from his body, shrouding his surroundings. This revealed the man's cultivation level to be at the peak of the second step and only one step away from the third step. As the person with the fastest cultivation in the last 1,000 years in the Golden Furnace sect, he was very famous. He had high status in the sect and was being personally taught by the head elder. Not only was his cultivation level high, he was very decisive and ruthless. He even had a reputation in the Yundao continent and had killed someone who had just entered the third step, causing his name to be known by many other sects. In particular, this battle was even more decisive than that of some third-step cultivators. Anyone who fought him would die by his hands 9 out of 10 times. This slaughter made him number one among the younger generation, but even some ordinary elders were shocked by his killing intent. His name was Wang Shi, as in stone. He was an orphan and didn't know who his parents were. He had been picked up by an old Daoist and grew up in the sect. He only knew that when he cultivated, he would often see the back of a figure. This back was very large and made him feel warm, but no matter what, he could not see the appearance of this figure. At the beginning, even the back of this figure was blurry, and as his cultivation level increased, the back of this figure gradually became more clear. He felt that if he could reach the third step, he would clearly see this figure. This was the reason why he cultivated like crazy. Wang Shi. As he cultivated, a voice came from outside the secret chamber. Then a ray of light flew before him and turned into the illusory figure of an old man. The man opened his eyes. He looked at the old man respectfully, then he got up and bowed. "Greetings, head elder." "You are still not willing to call me teacher," the illusory figure frowned. This disciple was very strange. He wanted to accept this person as his disciple, but Wang Shi remained silent and wouldn't agree. This made him unhappy, but as time passed, this man's cultivation speed caught his attention once more. He ignored the fact that this person wouldn't accept him as his teacher and taught him his personal spells. Now, many years had passed, and there was a relationship of teacher and disciple between them. However, even now, Wang Shi never called him teacher. Wang Shi also didn't know the reason, but he always felt like the person before him was not his teacher. As for who it should be, he was confused. Forget it. Prepare a bit and head down the mountain in 3 days. Go to the Daoyun sect for me to send the congratulatory gift. The illusory figure shook his head and disappeared. Wang Shi respectfully nodded. After the figure disappeared, his eyes were filled with confusion, and after a long time, he let out a sigh. After he sat back down to cultivate again, a sigh came from behind him. This sigh came too suddenly and made Wang Shi tremble, but he didn't recklessly turn around. He knew that for this person to come here without him or his teacher knowing, then this person's cultivation level had to be very high. Wang Shi gravely said, "Who are you, sir? Tell me why your name is Wang Shi. Who gave you this name?" A soft voice came from behind Wang Shi. When this name entered Wang Shi's ears, he felt his heart tremble. It was very familiar, and it felt like some memories were going to awaken. He could not help but become confused. He subconsciously answered, I'm an orphan and I named myself. I felt that I should be named Wang. Silence came from behind him. Wang's eyes shined and he took this chance to turn around. He saw behind him a young man in white with white hair looking at him with a gentle gaze. This was the gaze of an elder looking at their junior. When he saw the person's appearance, Wang's body trembled and his heart went into chaos. The back of the figure in his dream appeared and gradually overlapped with this person. You. The confusion in his eyes became even stronger. Wang Lin let out a sigh and pointed at Wang's forehead. With this, Wang's heart trembled violently and, with a bang, his memory was suddenly restored. Teacher. 13 greets teacher. Tears flowed down from the man's eyes as he knelt without hesitation toward Wang Lin. His face was filled with excitement. In the northeastern part of the lofty mountain continent, there was a mountain range. Not far from the official road, there was a paradise-like village. There weren't many people in the village, only a few hundred. Most of them were hunters, and they relied on the dense forest filled with beasts for a living. This was originally not a village, it used to just be a desolate land where hunters rested. It was unknown how long ago, but the family of an official had come here, escaping from the city, and settled down here. As time slowly passed, the village formed like this. At the western end of the village, there was a house surrounded by fences. There was a teenage girl wearing patched linen clothes feeding the poultry. Smoke was coming from the chimney. It was early morning and it was clear that breakfast was being prepared inside the house. As the girl fed the poultry, she laughed and spoke toward the house. Mom, I had another dream-like night. I dreamt that I became a celestial again. You child, you're so big already and still fantasize about becoming a celestial. When I was as old as you, I was already married to your father. A gentle voice came from the house. Is that because my father is the most powerful hunter in the village? I heard that a lot of people wanted to date father at the time. The girl smiled. She was very cute. Her appearance was not particularly beautiful, but she gave off a pure and lovely temperament. Who did you hear this from? A woman walked out. She was wearing simple clothes, but this could not hide her beauty. Her eyes widened as she pretended to be angry and held a pot of vegetables. The girl was going to speak when a hearty laughter came from the gate. It was me who said it. The gate was pushed open and a powerful middle-aged man walked in. He was carrying a bow and arrows, along with a small beast. However, there was dried blood on his leg. It was unknown if it belonged to the small beast or him. Father! The girl was surprised and immediately threw dustpan and ran up. Wow, it's a leopard. Its skin is so beautiful. This is great. The girl's eyes seemed to light up and she leaped happily. How come you were gone for so long this time? Normally, you return after 2 or 3 days. The woman quickly walked up and helped the middle-aged man put down the beast and bow and arrows. The little girl said that she wanted some good leather. On the way, I encountered this leopard, and it delayed me a bit, the man said as he rubbed the girl's head. What happened to your leg? The woman immediately saw the blood on the man's leg. She quickly knelt down to take a look and saw a shallow scratch. No problem. With Little White around, the beasts in the mountain can't hurt me. The man laughed as a shadow sprang through the gate and pounced on the girl. It licked the girl non-stop. It was a big black dog. However, it looked more like a tiger, which made for a shocking sight. Little White was learning how to roar like a tiger in the mountains again. I'm really confused. Is he a tiger or a dog? The man looked at the dog and smiled bitterly. Little White is good, so obedient. The girl pushed the big black dog aside and stroked the dog's hair. The dog seemed to enjoy it a lot. It lied on its back, exposing its belly. The girl laughed and began rubbing the dog's belly. The dog looked very comfortable and let out growls like a real tiger. The entire family was laughing and couldn't detect the figure in white floating in the sky. Wang Lin looked down at the happy family, and when he saw the girl's smiling face, he also smiled. Little White. I almost forgot that he was brought here and also reincarnated. I just didn't expect for him to reincarnate into a big dog. And from the looks of it, he has gained intelligence and has pretty good cultivation. Wang Lin smiled as the big dog laid on the ground enjoying himself. However, when he looked up at the sky, he actually saw Wang Lin's figure and was startled. His expression was instantly filled with fear. The big dog blinked and even stopped making the growling sound. Wang Lin looked at the dog, and when he saw the fear in the dog's eyes, his smile widened. "Oh, you recognize me?" However, the family didn't notice the strangeness in the dog's behavior. The young girl looked at her father and affectionately said, "Father, I dreamed about being a celestial again last night." "Good, being a celestial is good. My little girl will definitely become a celestial." The man laughed. "I don't want to become a celestial. I feel like I spent a lifetime as a celestial, but I was not happy at all. Right now is much better. It was just a dream. I don't want to become a celestial. I'll be with father and mother for the rest of my life." The girl's words were very serious. Her words startled Wang Lin, and he revealed a complicated expression. He looked at the girl's happy smile and then at the calm mountain village. After a long time, Wang Lin took another profound gaze before he disappeared into the sky. Perhaps this is the life she wanted. That night, she had a dream once more. In the dream, she had a different name, Ju Are You. She also had a black figure with her named Little White. She always bullied this figure and made it do handstands. She also had an uncle, and that uncle was her closest relative. In the dream, her uncle had asked her if she wanted to leave with him. She silently pondered for a long time and then told this uncle, who she felt was very close to her, that she wanted to stay here. That night, the dog also had a dream in which he became a tiger and was extremely fierce, doing anything he wished. He was surrounded by many female tigers and female beasts. It was very enjoyable. He also dreamed that a man in white had appeared before him. He knew this man. It was the despicable man who had captured him back then. This person gave him some delicious pills and then patted his head before leaving. One day, when Ju Are You wants to pursue her own dream, you can unseal her memory. The man left and his words echoed inside the dog's mind for a long time. The Celestial Clan's central continent. The ancestral city was simply too large, so one could see both the sun and moon appear in the city. At this moment, it was night at the Imperial Palace, but it was not dark because of the many lights in the palace. The entire palace was silent. A lonely figure walked out from the darkness and looked at the palace below. The figure stood there for a long time before descending. The light in the palace became hazy as the figure descended. It was as if another space was overlapping. It wasn't until the person stepped onto the square of the palace that the lights returned to normal. Wang Lin looked at this place. Back then, he had almost died here and couldn't leave with the madman. He could only watch as the madman entered eternal slumber and became a mountain to suppress the 72 continents. When I left, I vowed that once I came back again, I was going to awaken the madman. No one can stop me again. Wang Lin murmured as he stomped on the ground. With this step, the ground of the entire palace trembled without anyone noticing. What trembled was not the real palace, but the overlapping space. Wang Lin's surroundings became blurry and his figure flickered before he disappeared. When he reappeared, he was inside the underground palace. The entire underground palace was in a haze and was mostly the same compared to before. The only difference was that only one mountain remained. This mountain pierced into the sky and was very large. Standing outside mountain, Wang Lin felt the sleeping madman inside it. There were countless restrictions and seals inside and outside the mountain. Even a Grand Empyrean would need a lot of time to break them. Wang Lin raised his right hand and waved at the mountain. The mountain rumbled and collapsed at a rapid rate. Large amounts of rocks fell off, and in the blink of an eye, all the restrictions and seals disappeared with a wave of Wang Lin's hand. As the mountain collapsed, the madman's body appeared. He was quietly lying there with his eyes closed. He was sleeping. There were fluctuations of Grand Empyrean cultivation coming from his body. Wang Lin walked forward and arrived beside the madman. He looked at the madman and pointed at the madman's forehead. With this, the madman's body suddenly trembled. Wang Lin closed his eyes and his divine sense spread out through his finger, entering the madman's body to awaken him. In a flash, half an hour passed. Wang Lin opened his eyes, revealing a complicated expression as he looked at the madman, and said, "If you really choose this, then I respect your choice. You, take care." Wang Lin stood up with a sigh and walked toward the sky, disappearing from the underground palace. After Wang Lin left, the madman opened his eyes and looked at where Wang Lin had stood for a long time. "I have been confused for a lifetime. I was crazy for a lifetime. But I'm still a descendant of the celestial ancestor. Now that Lian Daozhen is dead, if I leave, the celestial clan will have no emperor. I want to leave this place, leave the immortal astral continent, but since I have the celestial ancestor's inheritance, I must have the backbone to bear it. This is my responsibility. I came to an understanding during my slumber." The madman stood up, revealing a rare trace of determination as he bitterly muttered to himself. "Guard the celestial clan so the generations can continue. When I feel that I no longer have to continue my responsibilities, I'll come and find you." Wang Lin, the madman, stood up. He was wearing the royal robe and crown. He no longer had any hint of the madness he had in the past, but gave off the aura of authority that was befitting of the celestial emperor. Wang Lin respected the madman's decision. Everyone had their own responsibilities. Wang Lin understood this. He had no right to decide madman's responsibilities. As a friend, the best he could do was awaken the madman. As for what he should do next, there was no need for Wang Lin to interfere. Wang Lin also had a path he had to take. He wanted to return to the cave world, back to planet Suzaku, back to where he grew up. Perhaps the next time I meet the madman will be 300 years from now. Wang Lin walked into the distance. Although he was the most powerful person on the immortal astral continent, there were still things he was confused about, like the immemorial god realm, the all-seer, and Wan as resurrection. Walking under the vast sky, Wang Lin also felt confused. He didn't know if the old friends he was seeking wanted their memories awakened or wanted to return to the cave world with him. Perhaps forgetting the past and beginning anew on the immortal astral continent is the best for them, Wang Lin murmured as he thought about Zhu Ru. That was her choice. I can't replace their choices with my will. Wang Lin let out a sigh as he looked into the distance. That was where Sichu Nan was. The country of Wu Xian was a mortal country in the northern part of the central continent in the heavenly wax continent. There were 4 countries in the heavenly wax continent and there was friction between them year-round. Although there were no large-scale wars, there were many small battles on the borders. However, the 4 countries kept it under control, so the scale of the battles never expanded too much. At the border of Wu Xian and Juling, there was a large amount of soldiers stationed here. The military camp looked endless and was densely packed with people. There was a powerful killing intent in the air. Closer to the country, at the gate of the camp, thousands of soldiers were standing in vertical columns. Several generals and officers were looking into the distance as if they were waiting for something. Not long after, the sounds of horses could be heard along the official road. A black horse rushed forward like the wind and charged through the thousands of soldiers before stopping in front of the generals. The war horse hissed and its hoofs raised into the air, then a person jumped down from the horse. This person was also wearing armor. After landing, he got down on one knee and clasped his hands. Report. King Nan's group is now 50 kilometers away, the soldier announced in a loud voice, then he lowered his head to wait for orders. Among the group, there was an old man who gave off pressure without being angry. He was at the center of the group and quickly said, "Continue to scout. The vanguard are to welcome King Nan's group." After he finished speaking, a middle-aged man quickly stepped forward. After clasping his hands at the old man, he set off with 10,000 soldiers from the camp, kicking up a lot of dust. Beside the old general, a civil servant stepped out and said, "Great General, this King Nan is likely coming, with ill intentions. Rumor has it that King Nan likes to enjoy himself and is extremely wasteful. Almost everyone fears him as he passes. I also heard that King Nan has a lot of wives and has built palaces for them. Rumor has it that he has even more than today's emperor. The person who spoke hesitated for a moment and didn't finish. The old general was still silently pondering as if he hadn't heard the words of the people beside him. He stood there without a word, but there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. This coldness remained in his eyes as a powerful aura surrounded him. As the great general of the border, controlling nearly 500,000 troops while not being royalty naturally caused displeasure among others. If not for the fact that the country of Wu Xian needed an invincible general like him, he would have long been forced to retire. Rumor has it that King Nan is extremely arrogant and cares a lot about appearances. If the scale of the welcoming party is not large enough, he might not be happy. Great General, should we send more people over? Great General, this humble one also feels that we should send more people to greet him. Since King Nan likes a grand scene, then we should greet him with our 100,000-man army. Line the streets with our soldiers to let him see the might of our army. Great General, there is no need to hesitate. King Nan is a despicable man and is already targeting Great General. For such a person, we should. The old general frowned and raised his hand. Everyone became silent as all gazes landed on him. It could be seen that his prestige in this army could not be replaced by anyone. My soldiers are all heroes who have survived decades of bloodshed. I won't agree to use them to greet King Nan. Gather 1,000 people, me being here personally is enough. The old general's words were filled with determination, and no one could object. After he spoke, everyone's expressions became serious and they clasped their hands in acknowledgement. 1,000 kilometers away, a luxurious carriage about 100 feet long was moving along the official road with a convoy of carriages stretching almost 1 kilometer long. There were martial artists dressed in ordinary clothing around the carriages. Sounds of music came from the 100-foot-long carriage, along with the sounds of women laughing. It looked quite lively inside. Good, dance. This king will reward you. A man's voice cut through the laughter. There even seemed to be faint moaning coming from the carriage as well. The surrounding guards had long become accustomed to this and didn't care at all. After the carriage traveled a few kilometers, a youth in blue sitting next to the carriage let out a sharp roar. King Nan has commanded us to stop the march. As his words echoed, the long chain of carriages gradually came to a stop. Beautiful women all walked out from the huge carriage in front. Their clothes were a mess and it was obvious they had just put them on. They all looked fatigued as they walked toward the carriages in the back. There were many women, dozens of them. It was difficult to imagine all of them being in the 100-foot carriage. As they left, dozens of charming women walked out from the carriages in the back. They looked like replacements and quickly entered the carriage in front. Soon, the music and moaning voices, along with the man's laughter, echoed once more. As the carriages moved forward, a battalion of 1,000 people that had been sent to welcome them could be seen. Seeing only this many people coming to greet them, a cold snort came from the 100-foot carriage. However, the carriage didn't stop. It continued forward under the protection of these 1,000 soldiers. 1 hour later, the convoy of carriages appeared before the barracks. Moaning sounds occasionally escaped from the 100-foot carriage. As they closed in, the moaning sounds became even more clear, and all the soldiers present heard them. This caused the old general to frown and displeasure appeared in his eyes. He let out a snort and walked forward. A large amount of civil servants followed him, filled with killing intent. As he closed in, all the guards around the stopped carriage became nervous. They could feel the killing intent coming from the old general, and it made them tremble. The guards were afraid, but they quickly walked forward. The youth on the carriage quickly stood up and let out a sharp scream. Stop! King Nan! Before the youth finished speaking, a middle-aged general next to the older general revealed a fierce gaze and yelled, "Who are you?" When he spoke, all the gazes of the soldiers here gathered on this youth, creating an invisible pressure. The youth's face suddenly turned pale and he didn't even dare to speak. "Sai Nan! What are you doing?" As the old general approached, a roar came from the carriage. Along with his words, the moans suddenly stopped. The old man gave off a pressure without being angry as stood next to the carriage and spoke. "This old general Sai Nan greets King Nan. After a moment of silence, a curtain was opened from inside the carriage and a middle-aged man walked out. His eyes were faintly black and looked somewhat hollow. He stood on the carriage as he looked at the old general. There was a flash gloominess when he suddenly smiled. Indeed worthy of being my Wu Xian's great general Sai Nan. With you protecting the border, there is nothing for Wu Xian to fear. This king came to reward the border general. Oh. Then let's enter the barracks, please. The old general looked at King Nan with an indifferent expression. However, his gaze gave King Nan great pressure. In addition, everyone here gave off killing intent and had cold gazes, which made sweat appear on his forehead. King Nan squeezed out a smile and quickly said, "No need. This king can stay outside, there's no need to go in." No one knew that Wang Lin had watched everything from beginning to end. Wang Lin was standing in the sky and his gaze was locked onto one person. That person was the old general, Sai Nan. He didn't become a king, but a great general. I don't know what he will think once he regains his memories. Wang Lin revealed a smile. He was very happy. This video will end here.